it's my duty to speak up on behalf of my constituents, to speak up with their ideas, their concerns, and the direction that they'd like to see Alberta go. And that's what I was doing.
Everyone, Nadine Wellwood, correspondent for the Western Standard, and I am joined today by MLA Drew Barnes for Cypress Medicine Hat. And Drew Barnes yesterday had, I think maybe a little bit surprising about the timing of things, but maybe not necessarily the outcome. So welcome, MLA Barnes.
Nadine, thanks for talking to me.
My pleasure. I'm going to jump right in. I know your time is limited, and I wanted to get your take on why you felt or why you think MLA Lowen, Todd Lowen, put that letter out on that Facebook post.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Let's start there. Todd Lowen, in the time I've worked with him, is a solid conservative, hard worker, very respectful, excellent representative of his constituents. So think of the frustration, the desire for change, how he must have felt when he actually went public calling for Premier Kenney to resign. It's a reflection, in his letter, he said of what his constituents were saying. It's a reflection of what I'm hearing around Alberta every day. And so when Todd Lowen, a respectful, solid conservative, got to the point where he felt the need to go public, asking for a resignation, it kind of says where Albertans are at. Albertans, asking for Premier Kenney to pivot, to be more transparent. And, I like to sum it up this way. Polling right now in Alberta shows that in Alberta, that Premier Kenney's popularity is the same as Justin Trudeau's. That should be a signal, shouldn't it?
Absolutely, it should. What has the reaction from your constituents been?
Oh, thanks for that. I'm so grateful. I'm so honored to represent Cypress Medicine Hat and Albertans. In less than 24 hours, we've had hundreds of people phone, email, text, direct message, and the response has been first of all overwhelming in support of myself, my position, and my statement. We did have a statement saying this is an opportunity to speak even louder as an independent member of the MLA, to speak even louder for grassroots conservatives, for all Albertans who right now, Nadine, are feeling very, very strongly that their ideas are not getting to the cabinet or not being debated on the floor of the legislature. So this is my opportunity to even do better for that. And so I'm very, very honored and grateful that so many have reached out and said they're pleased with this and are behind me. Thank you.
So you have been typically quite critical and outspoken regarding Jason Kenney's decisions, especially around these no more lockdowns and whatnot. But even before that, with the Fair Deal panel. But yet yesterday you were surprisingly silent, quiet on this, and you didn't come out in support or in opposition of Todd Lowen's letter, and yet there was another MLA who did so, and yet you were the one who was expelled from caucus.
To me, I guess it means, even though Premier Kenney had been saying that he welcomed dissenting public discussion of government ideas and direction, for this to have got to that level, I guess he didn't. I'll say it again. We're in a situation where when I'm not in cabinet, I'm not a member of the government. It's my duty to speak up on behalf of my constituents, to speak up with their ideas, their concerns, and the direction that they'd like to see Alberta go. And that's what I was doing. At times I said, yeah, the government's on the right track. I think back to when they came out with the regional approach to the COVID restrictions and lockdowns initially, when it was regionally based. And in Cypress Medicine Hat, I think we had 8 cases. That's what I was saying at that point. Then when the lockdown tightened and changed and became, more complete across Alberta, I changed what I was saying, because that's what my constituents were saying to me. So yeah, again, MLA Lowen got to the point where he felt he needed to do something. That's indicative of where Albertans are at, and Albertans feeling that the Premier Kenney hasn't met their expectations. And I guess I have to be focused on speaking out in a different way as an independent MLA, and I am absolutely prepared and happy and optimistic to do that.
So obviously you're going to be moving forward as an independent, but you're remaining.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's my plan. I spent some time last night talking to my wife and my family. I have 3 adult boys, and then I'll be talking to my constituents to get some support and direction and some feedback from them. And then at that point in time, I will make the best decisions. At this point in time, it looks like for the foreseeable future, I will be happy and honored to be an independent member of the Alberta legislature for 50,000 people of Cypress Medicine Hat, one of 87 people paid to speak on behalf of 4.4 million of us. It's an opportunity as well, Nadine.
now, MLA Barnes, how did we get here? What has Jason Kenney done or not done, or what could he have done differently to have avoided much of this?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I just think yesterday, in what was a 7 or 8 hour meeting and voting and time, if the Premier at some point would have acknowledged that he's part of the problem. Albertans are saying to me daily that they feel he hasn't met expectations, that democratic reform hasn't happened, that there's been too much, government's gotten too big. There's been too much cronyism, too much, insiders getting opportunities, and those are the things that instead we could have spent some time team building unity, talking about, working on, understanding each other better. Instead, we spent the day ejecting myself and MLA Lowen from caucus. And, again, it was a surprise. How we got here over 2 years, we've seen a steady and consistent drop in the UCP polls since election. We've seen a steady and a consistent drop in Premier Kenney's popularity. To me, that only suggests that you need to pivot, you need to change. Maybe the best change, maybe one of the easiest, would be to start giving caucus more involvement and more direction and those kind of things. Those of us that weren't in cabinet, of course, different now with me as an independent. And again, I thought some acknowledgement that some pivoting would be beneficial for Albertans would have went a long way, but didn't happen.
And on that note, this has got to feel a little bit like a betrayal of some of your colleagues. They voted in a majority to have yourself and MLA Lowen removed. Where are they at with that? Because you had 17 people who stood up against this no more lockdowns, and where were they yesterday?
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Nadine. A lot of my colleagues spoke very, very strongly in support of me and MLA Lowen, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Of course, and even the ones that spoke against me, I get it. We have different perspectives. We see things different. We hear things different. We make different decisions. So I have zero hard feelings against anybody in caucus. We're all here. I'm here for the betterment of Alberta families, communities, free enterprise, and prosperity, and they are too. And let's just put this behind us. Let's focus on the future, and let's focus on that. Again, it's unfortunate that 7 or 8 hours was spent on that rather than Alberta families and free enterprise and communities. But that is what it is now. And again, my goal going forward will be to be the voice of grassroots conservative Albertans that care about a brighter future for our kids and our grandkids, our economy, our communities, our relationship with our Canadian provinces. COVID sometimes feels like it's overwhelming everything, and we've got so many challenges with COVID: mental health, spiritual health, physical health. But there's a lot of Cypress Medicine Hatters that still speak strongly about the need to really push stronger against Ottawa with other Canadian partners like Saskatchewan for a better deal for Alberta families. And so I look forward for the chance to do that.
Well, MLA Barnes, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. And hopefully we can do this again. Yes?
We sure can, Nadine. I appreciate the time, and thank you very much.
Wonderful. Nadine Wellwood, Western Standard correspondent, speaking with MLA Drew Barnes, Cypress Medicine Hat. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye for now.